the 1856 election?
不是林肯吗？是林肯。
一看都是黄呀。为什么没有参加这个？那是吗？你选的什么情况？
James Buchanan won in 56. Lincoln won in 60.
哎，为什么是林肯？
Lincoln won in 60. The trick you guys. The trick you guys.
谁选对了？
谁选对了？
众人皆醉。
666。
Who wrote Uncle Tom's Cabin?
托马斯·杰弗森。不信。
这个简单呀！我告你
这个。
我忘了，我操！
那听听听。
就这个呀？
是不是那名字长？真的。
是啊，很简单。
啊。
Ah, that's right. Good job, Sissy.
我呢？
In the Senate race in 1858, who did Abraham Lincoln run against? That actually is the person's picture, by the way, too. That is the person's picture.
Send the miss. 三长一短，先三短一短。贝多芬呀，贝多芬呀。贝多芬。
哎，15，我操！
过去了。陆秀现在是哪个？
马上。那选这个。
因为是不选我还是
他一直说那个。
哎，对了。
Good job. Stephen Douglas was the answer. Hey, Adam, not bad, Adam.
对了。
Rand Lama.
What political party did Abraham Lincoln
哎
side
呦，这个
with?
简单。哎呦。
Republican. No nothing.
Hey, hey,
No nothing. 666。
Yeah, some of you guys know nothing in this. Yeah, exactly.
他是 Democratic Republican.
We should add communism.
中国派过去的间谍。
Democrat 绝对是 Democrat.
为
什么你加1000分？
Republican Party.
龙丽是谁啊？是谁啊
Okay, next question. What judge made the Dred Scott decision? Which of these judges made the decision?
我翻书了，
我选那个 Wells。
哎，
要19秒。
选那个 Wells。谁很厉害？
我都转发，从 Dad 开始 ，Dad Scott
这样也是比这样。
你为什么要用我的名字来的？看这游戏。
我说对的，我操。
Roger Taney.
我龙丽鱼，哎，
Dred Scott was a slave from where? Where was he from?
是哪里？是哪里？我选哎。
让我搜一下他的名字。
伊利诺斯吧。
Remember, he's a slave.
那是个死人，难道来说
那美国地方。伊利诺伊也是。
完全不行。
我选哎。
我选。
不可能是错的呀！你看3、2、1，你说，你看错了呀！哦，这是 Misery 吗？
对啊。
我操，
那你选什么？我听大 J 的呀。
Okay, remember, guys. Illinois, Ohio, free states. So either have to be Alabama or Missouri. Remember.
哇，怪我。哇。
大 J 默。
我吓宝了。
Okay, next question. Did Lincoln support or oppose the decision of expanding the range of slavery in the South? Did he support it or was he opposed to this idea?
这题我拿的分肯定很低。2选1。
选1啊。
猫你按的越晚。
你按你告诉
啊，他们都 support。
He
对了。
opposed.
我谁 support 的？你太牛了，好吧？
啊，为什
Next question.
为什么？
Who created the Freeport Doctrine?
哎，这个
Freeport Doctrine.
Free
看起来
point.
像 A 啊。
That's not like free point. 肯定 free point 是谁？我操！
如果不是 A 什么？
你试试啊！
我选多少？我选了 A。
我也讲了。哇
You guys actually thought Phil Freeport? Oh wow, okay.
Who is Phil free point?
It's a fake
哎，
name.
第3名，
Next question.
就有招。
What abolitionist killed men in Kansas to try to stop slavery there?
Kobe Bryant。
这个
John Smith。
John Brown，
John Brown 吧，我觉得。
我觉得 John Brown， 我也觉得是 John Brown。哦，我瞎说的。
我觉得道格拉斯在国选 John Brown。
This is the person in the picture. Actually, the person.
Santa Claus。
是 John Brown。
John Brown, good job. Good job.
就是越是
为什么我没？
Wow, Adam is on fire.
谁是 Brad Pitt？
Once again, who won the election of 1856?
选 B。
Oh, good God, slow down.
那怎么图片换掉了的？
对对对，
不是，这为什么？
一个不稀我。
爬出 perfection。
Good job.
哎，谁选的？
You got it right this time. There you go.
我选谁选了？谁选错了？
露笑吧。
Okay. Which was the first industry to be widely mechanized in the North? Which one?
这个
The first. Which one was the first?
就是的越快是吗？对。
Good job. Textiles. Good job. Next one. Who started to make the working class larger when they replaced mill girls?
Young Boys。Young Boys。我瞎选的。
Remember the time period. Remember the time period, guys. 1840s, 1850s.
A T，那我觉得应该是 A 吗？
Remember the Irish, the Germans. Next question. The phrase manifest destiny express an attitude and policy favoring what exactly? What is manifest destiny all about? Fake news. Fake news. Fake news.
为什么是？哦，对啊。
Hey. Good. Jasmine's got it's okay. All right. Ooh. What deal established a line separating new slave states from free ones at 3630 parallel?
What's the question?
What is the line? What? Oh wow.
Too fast.
It's too fast. Yeah. Good God. Sorry about that. Now let's go back to this question because it was too fast there. Now, remember the Missouri Compromise of 1820 establishes the line that divides the North and the South. Which state was a free as a result of the Missouri Compromise? Which state becomes a free state because of the Missouri Compromise?
伤害欺骗的那个。
然后后来说是跟一个然后
你选完。
我选错了，我他妈
我选啥呀？
是1850。
对啊。
Maine. There you go, sister.
是我常人。
Next one. Which state was free as a result of the Compromise of 1850?
结束。
1850. 1850. 1850.
哎，对了。
California. California. No doubt about it. That's right. For which state was Preston Brooks a senator?
哎呦，这我就不知道。
他好像是他是南边的，南边的就一定是。
Remember that? I told you about the beatdown.
南边我
威斯康星是中部的。
South Carolina 不是吧？
那就是 Massachusetts。
我也觉得是，对吧？
Hey, this is not a conversation. Just answer the question.
那我怎么记是 Maryland？
It's actually Wuhan. Wuhan.
我错了。
South Carolina.
第4名了，好菜。
农历原来是你啊。
Next question. The central plank of the Know Nothing Party in 1856 election was about what? Remember, their central idea was about what?
首先是谁选的 C？ 你自己说说看。是人自己说。
农历鱼暴躁。
Nativism. Nativism.
农历鱼，我操，有鱼片。
Okay. In the North, the Panic of 1857 created calls for what?
这个，拜拜。
第4个什么意思？有看到我。
11点什么？是他说我是，你现在还知道机，我知道。
我觉得你们是。会问 C 啊？再多一个吗？
哎，对。
Hey. Okay, 3 more questions. Stephen Douglas' Freeport Doctrine stated that. What did it state?
Freeport。 我觉得啊，应该选中文。
错，我瞎选了呀，我都不知道呀。
Good.
我操！
Slavery would stay down if people voted it down. 2 more questions. In his raid on Harper's Ferry, John Brown intended to do what?
哇，他做了什么？我不知道。呀，近代那个。
这个是不是就是杀人的那个黑人？
杀人那个，哦，对，杀人那个。等一下，不要慌。
我怎么做回去来着？
我挺多。
你选吧，你选吧。
Ooh.
吓死我了！
Alright. And the last question. When Abraham Lincoln won in 1860 presidential election, people in South Carolina did what?
对，是。
哦，是的，不得是 C
Leave.
啊。他一定够吗？
啊？A 吗？他们打仗吗？
对啊。
You pick triangle?
对。
我感觉像道长。
废话嘛。
Good job. Good job. Good job.
第4名，生前是个体。
So the really cool thing about Kahoot, as a teacher anyway, is that I get all the results from everyone's questions and answers, and I can actually, it helps me figure out exactly what to cover for the class. So for example, many of you guys got the election of 1856 wrong.
Because the picture.
The picture, exactly. But read the question. Don't let the picture determine your answer. Read the question. 1856 election. We should know that it wasn't Lincoln. Remember, Lincoln's 1860, not 1856. Lincoln becomes the president in 1860, and what will eventually happen because of his election?
War.
War will happen.
What is Freeport?
Freeport.
Freeport is a place, it's a location. It's a place and location. So, let's continue with the events that are going to lead up to the war itself. What have we talked about so far in class? Give me an example of one event that happens between the North and the South in the 1850s that leads to the war in 1861. Compromise of 1850 is one event that happens. What else? John Brown incident. Not just once, by the way. You haven't even read about the second thing he does. So, he did two things, actually. What else?
Decision, the
Dred Scott decision. Be quiet. Who's next?
Panic.
Which panic? Of
1850s.
1857 happens. What else? What else happens? One of the questions talked about it, actually. Freeport Doctrine, that's another event. Smaller event, but yes, that's true. What else? Which book? Do you remember the book name? Uncle Tom's Cabin. Uncle Tom's Cabin. What else? I could literally make your test an essay about tell me the events that led up to the Civil War. That's probably the easiest thing to do, right? Because every little event between North and the South is going to eventually lead to the war itself. What was the straw that broke the camel's back? What do I mean by that? What was the straw that broke the camel's back for the United States? What was the last thing that happens? I guess that eventually is going to break the country in half. What's the last event?
Lincoln became the president.
Thank you. If you can write an essay that tells me, the events leading up to the election of Abraham Lincoln, that is what I would say you understand the chapter. If you can tell me 3 or 4 events leading up into the actual war itself, then I think you understand the chapter very well. That's the point here, guys. I think for understanding the Civil War, this kind of wraps it all up for us. You can see all these events. Now, mind you, you can make the argument, as I mentioned before, that the Constitution is the beginning of the war itself. When the founder fathers sat together in Philadelphia and said, we got to change the Articles of Confederation, the Constitution had a wonderful chance and opportunity to end slavery. Guess what? They didn't do that. They were afraid the southern states wouldn't sign this new Constitution, so decided not to actually try to get rid of slavery. We'll let the future people figure it out. And they waited, and they waited, and they compromised, and they waited, and they compromised, and they waited, and eventually the South seceded from the Union, and we have war. So the goal for tomorrow is to continue with the events that are leading up to the election of 1860, which will eventually lead us to the war between the North and the South. Guess what the Southerners call the war? I call it the American Civil War. Guess what Southerners call it? Some of them do call it Independence War. Some of them actually do call it Independence War. The term they use is the War of Northern Aggression. That's what they say. The War of Northern Aggression. Because they see it as the North trying to impose their values on them. Anti-slavery be the main value. And so, as a history teacher, I used to call it the Civil War, but then I realized other countries had civil wars. Actually, this weekend I talked to a student about the Chinese Civil War between GMD and the CCP, the PLA. Chinese Communist Party. Yeah. So I talked about that this weekend, and it was like interesting how the GMD had everything they needed to win, except for one thing. I think.
What?
The hearts and minds of the local people. If the local people don't believe in you, then revolutions don't happen. Who the heck is knocking on my door right now? Who is that? Hey, what's up? The bell didn't ring yet. What wrong with you there? Anyway. So tomorrow we will continue with chapter 19, which actually we'll finish it tomorrow. Now I know. Wait a minute. Some of you guys said you had 2 tests on Wednesday.
Yeah. Yes.
You have 2 tests on Wednesday. When are most of you guys leaving for SATs? Friday. So we'll have it Thursday. Right? Thursday test. Right? Okay, guys. Wait for the bell to ring. Wait for the bell. What time is it?
27.
Oh, so it's almost going to ring. They were just a little early. It's almost going to ring, all right?
什么时候认？那不是25吗？